Member Vancouver West End.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Well, happy Monday morning to everybody. I rise to speak on a statement about reducing excessive vehicle noise. It's in the spirit of a nonpartisanship that I hope we all can get behind. After all, this issue of reducing loud motorbikes, the exhausts of modified parts of cars and trucks, which sometimes wake people up at night, has been an issue that has perturbed my constituents for many, 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 many years. The former member, BC Liberal member, worked on this issue. The member before him, Tim Stevenson, worked on the issue as a New Democrat for years as well. And indeed, it's been a problem for as long as I guess we've had tall apartment buildings which amplify sound, and people decide to be loud with their vehicles. So, Honourable Speaker, I think I should quantify. What am I talking about with reducing excessive vehicle noise? It's an issue now that is plaguing the constituents of many of those in this House, and I look across me, I see folks from Surrey, I see folks from Kamloops, folks from Terrace, others on my own side, the Sunshine Coast, Delta, the Kootenays, Peace River Country, the Okanagan in a big way, and really this is an issue that I think should unite us and I think should get us moving despite the fact that nothing has happened on this for a long, long time. So some people choose to modify their motorbikes so that they are incredibly loud. They think it's fun, they enjoy the noise. They decide to share that noise with everybody else who may not find that so much fun, so much enjoyable. I see the member for Penticton nodding in agreement. I think he's not the one creating the noise, he's the one whose constituents want it to end, and indeed I've heard that from them. I've spoken to more than a few from the Penticton area who want us to act. So right now in Canada we have a limit for motorbikes. They can be 91 decibels. The average car is allowed to be 83 decibels. This is a bit of a throwback to the days when we couldn't create engines on a motorbike which were quieter. Of course, you can do that now, and indeed in Europe, the actual limit for motorbikes right now is 80 decibels. So in Canada, in British Columbia, we're at 91, in Europe, they're at 80, which is actually even quieter than cars in Canada, which we set at 83. So it can be done. People modify them. But even just the driving of a motorbike right now at 91 decibels is enough to wake up a baby, and I can speak from experience to that one. Living in the West End as I do, we hear more than our fair share of motorbikes coming through over that beautiful Lions Gate, and we love that Stanley Park Drive, but it sure attracts a lot of people who some would say are smaller in generosity to my community by sharing their excessive noise. Some would say they have small parts, but I'll leave that for another time. Anyways, Honourable Speaker, what can we do about it? Well, you know, hearing from the Union of BC Municipalities, all the cities and towns and regional districts, they united a few years ago to say, province, step up. We need to inspect more often. We need to enforce the laws more often. That's certainly one area, and the police in a few communities have blitzes. They do one day a year where they go out and they ticket people. There's very little ticketing that goes on. They thankfully now have the ability to, through the courts have ruled that they can see somebody, and if they have experience in listening to loud noises, they can actually cite without a ticketing device to actually test the decibel level. So it's made it a little easier. But really, the police are busy. They have a whole lot of things that they've got to do to take care of our communities. And, you know, in the end, I think we've got a bit of a supply issue as well. Right now, it's illegal to drive a bike with modified parts that can be excessively loud, or a Honda Civic, as I saw the other day. They created a massive muffler so they could be extra loud. It's illegal to do that now. They can get ticketed. They can have that pulled off. But, you know, there's just so many of them that we're not getting at it. So what I'd like to propose, and what I think we should look at, is we should look at reaching out to other provincial governments across the country and say, can we start to move towards Europe's level of 80 decibels? Now, we're at 91, so we're not going to get there overnight. It's going to take a long time, and the way that Europe's done it is they said for new vehicles introduced into the market, these will be the decibel levels we set. We've done it for climate, we've done it for how much carbon pollution, for lead, and on we've done it. And we could do it for noise levels. For some reason, Canada and North America has not. So if Canada as a nation said to the suppliers, this is what we're going to do by this year, we're going to have a lot more quieter bikes introduced into the market, and that'll help over time. We should probably ban the sale and the installation of modifications for loud pipes. Right now, you cannot drive with a loud pipe. You cannot be on the roads with a loud pipe that's been cut or modified, but you can pay somebody to install it on your bike, and you can then, once you've left the lot, you're breaking the law. You can advertise it for sale, but you can't actually drive with it. So it's a bit of a gap in the law, so I'd like to see us introduce legislation potentially to ban the sale and the installation of these parts, just to make it harder for people to be introducing pipes that are even louder than the currently allowable limits. Of course, we should enforce the existing laws, potentially increase fines so that we show that we're serious about this issue, because it has a health impact. It wakes the baby. It makes sitting on a patio on a nice summer day not so much fun. You interrupt conversations. And you know, when you talk to doctors, they will tell you the mental health impact of the constant stress of noise really does get felt in the body and really does lead to shorter lives. It leads to more chronic illnesses, mental health challenges, and stress as well. So I'm hoping that these are a package of potential options that the government might consider, but indeed legislators across Canada could get behind, because we all should be able to sleep better at night. People shouldn't have to be sitting listening to the drone of noisy gnats of people who want to show they're bigger than all that, show off their egos or something, just for their own potential enjoyment, when of course you're disrupting the enjoyment of thousands of people just for your one singular pleasure. So I hope the member opposite will join me in this, and we can share that in a bipartisan way, and hopefully get some action in the next couple of years. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.